Hey everybody, it's me, your teacher, and I want to talk about quotations. I wish I was like fancy. I knew how to do all those graphics on the video and everything. So quotation lightning bolts, ching, 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 right? So now, if we're doing our journal, and let me do this for a second. Let me put this down. And let me take a look here. Let me put that down and let me go here. Okay, so if we're doing our journal, let me go back. I just lost myself. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, let's put this down and let's go here. So if we're doing our journal, here we are. Here's somebody's journal here, okay? If we're doing our journal, what we can do with our journal now, okay, because we have text I like and we have a why I like it, right, which is code for quotation and unpacking. So text I like equals quotation. Why I like it means the unpacking, okay? So we can now start playing with what we've got in our journal. Let's start playing with words, okay? So let me show you something because this is what this class is about. Shh, it's a secret, okay? This class is about incorporating quotations, right, into your own writing to support your points or to support your claims. That's what this class is about, okay? And also how to be a great student. All right, so now here I have my journal, okay? Now I'm going to go to my quotation worksheet, okay? Here is my quotation worksheet, okay? Now what I've done, I've broken this up, okay? I've broken this up into 3 sections to create a quotation, okay? So a quotation needs, and I'm telling you this because I'm gonna have you practice a little bit, okay? A quotation needs 4 things, okay? It needs a signal phrase, okay? A signal phrase. It needs the quoted material enclosed in quotation marks. It needs a parenthetical citation. That's the page number, okay? And with the author's name, sometimes it does have the author's name, sometimes it doesn't. And don't worry, guys, because I'm gonna go over this again and again and again all semester long, because that's what this class is about, okay? And it has the unpacking, the why I like it, okay? The why I like it, okay? Now, if you've been doing your journal, okay, or maybe you haven't and you can start now, okay? You have the material, the text I like, right, that you've typed in from your book. Here's what I do with my book, right? From your book, okay, you've typed it in from your book where you have annotated your text. And as you can see, I have a text here that I have annotated, okay? You have an annotated text. Let's find another one, right? We have I don't know if you can see that, a text that I have annotated, right? So I have typed this material in word for word, put the page number, right? I use my think aloud checklist, right, to help me start thinking about it, okay? And I wrote that in my journal. Now I'm going to take those 2 pieces and I'm going to add a signal phrase to it, okay? So what is a signal phrase? What is a signal phrase? Well, let me go here. Okay. Okay, so whenever you include a paraphrase, a summary, or a direct quotation from another writer's work into your paper, you prepare the reader for it by using introductory words that are called a signal phrase. A signal phrase uses, well, not all the time, it could use the author's name. I'm going to show you some that don't, right? And it provides some context for the material, okay? For the quotation, it provides some context. And what does context mean? It means background. So it's more than going, Dweck says, Louis Althusser says, right, states, it's more than that. It's giving some background. But for now, if you can only use says or states just to get yourself practicing, start there and then grow from that base, okay? So if this is where you are, this is where you are. Now put in some effort, right? Put in some effort like a flower, okay, that needs watering, okay, and grow into adding more context into your signal phrases. Okay, so a signal phrase also marks the boundary between your words and someone else's. Okay, it's very important, okay, because you can be accused of plagiarism if you don't have quotation marks, a signal phrase, and a parenthetical citation. Okay, you need that stuff. All right, so if you're missing a signal phrase and quotation marks, okay, you can be accused of plagiarism. If you're missing a parenthetical citation, but you got quotation marks in the signal phrase, well, you don't have everything that a signal phrase has, but at least you're trying and you might not get accused of plagiarism. Okay, so we don't want to get accused of plagiarism because that's a bad deal to happen in the academic community in Western culture, okay? Because that's stealing, right? That's stealing, and we don't want to steal. We want to borrow and let everyone know that we've borrowed text from someone, okay? So using signal phrases, right? So now, what you're going to do, you're going to use a verb in the signal phrases. But first, let's look at some signal phrases. Here's some model signal phrases. And this comes from page from this book, A Writer's Reference, page 377 in the Writer's Reference. You can go to your Writer's Reference and you can look at this on page 377 in your Writer's Reference. Okay, so here's some examples of signal phrases and you can go through that. Michael Pollan, who has written extensively about Americans' unhealthy eating habits, argues that, okay, so we've got the name of the author, Michael Pollan, right? We've got some background. He writes about unhealthy eating habits, and what is he doing? He's arguing, right? Now, arguing doesn't mean fighting in English. Arguing just means presenting your point of view, okay? Okay, so now the verb there in the signal phrase is argues. Let's look at another one. As health policy experts Mello, Studard, and Brennan point out, so point out is the verb in the signal phrase. So I'm expecting when I hear argues, when I hear point out, I'm expecting to see a quotation after that verb because that verb, right, signals to the reader that somebody else's words are coming into my paper, okay? So here's some verbs and signal phrases. Acknowledges, adds, admits, agrees, argues, asserts, believes, comments, compares, confirms, contends, declares, denies, disputes, emphasizes, endorses, grants, it goes on and on, right? So you can just play with these words in front of the text I like. In front of the text I like and the why I like it. You're going to keep the text I like and the why I like it together. Okay? So now we have some verbs and signal phrases. Now I'm going to go back here to let's see if it's still up. Yes, it is. So I'm going to put this down and I'm going to go back here to my quotation worksheet. And here is a signal phrase. The Dalai Lama and Howard C. Cutler in their book, The Art of Happiness, believe it is necessary to, so what is the verb in the signal phrase believe, right? Believe it is necessary to, open quotation marks, identify and cultivate positive mental states, identify and eliminate negative mental states, close quotation mark, open parentheses, 41, close parentheses, period. And this is the parenthetical citation right here. It comes at the end, right? Right before the period. Now, here's the why I like it. Thought, and more importantly, the awareness of thought is key to changing one's outlook on life. A good way to cultivate loving and compassionate thoughts is to sit quietly without thought. In other words, to let thought come and go without attaching the mind to it. This action is closely associated with the elimination of the negative and the promotion of positive mental states. Okay? Now, this is the signal phrase with the author named in it, okay? And the title of the text. Okay. What would this look like if I didn't separate it? What would this look like if I didn't separate it? Okay. Well, let's see. Let's see if I have it at the bottom here. Oh, I didn't put it at the bottom. Okay, that's all right. So now I'm going to show you what this would look like. Okay. I'm going to go to the bottom here and I'm just going to paste it here so that you can see what this would look like. These pieces all together. Okay. And here's the text I like. Okay. And I'm copying it and I'm going to put it right next to its signal phrase. Okay. Right. And now I'm going to take my unpacking or the why I like it. And I'm going to copy this and I'm going to take it down here and I'm going to put it right here. And I'm going to go 2 spaces after a period here. Now, look at it all together. Now, this is a quotation. It has all the key elements. It has the signal phrase, the quoted material, and closing quotation marks. It has a parenthetical citation with the page number, and it has unpacking or the why I like it. It has unpacking or the why I like it, right? Let's look at another. Okay. Now, another way to increase happiness in one's life is to learn tolerance. The Dalai Lama points this out, right? So now I'm talking about tolerance and learning tolerance. It's giving background to the quotation, right? Here's the text I like. If you can learn to develop patience and tolerance towards your enemies, then everything else becomes much easier. Your compassion towards all others begins to flow naturally. 178. To cultivate a gentleness of spirit towards those who I believe have wronged me is the hardest lesson that I'm learning from the Dalai Lama, because I am the type of person who holds grudges. Working on compassion and patience is a task that I hope will become easier the more I practice it. Okay, so now let's look. Here's my signal phrase. Okay, I'm practicing here. Here's my signal phrase. Okay. And now, here's my signal phrase. Here's the text I like, or the quotation. I'm putting it all together. Okay? And now, here's the unpacking. Here's the unpacking. This is the why I like it. This is the why I like it. Okay? Now look at this. Another way to increase happiness in one's life is to learn tolerance. The Dalai Lama points this out. If you can learn to develop patience and tolerance towards your enemies, then everything else becomes easier. Your compassion towards all other beings begin to flow naturally. 178. To cultivate a gentleness of spirit towards those who I believe have wronged me is the hardest lesson that I am learning from the Dalai Lama, because I am the type of person who holds grudges. Working on compassion and patience is a task that I hope will become easier for me the more I practice it. Okay. Now let's look at one where the author is not named. Okay. Compassion is something that a person can develop over time. Okay. Right? That's the signal phrase. It's just giving me some background. Okay. Uh-oh, we don't have quotation marks here. We need quotation marks. We need quotation marks. We always want to put quotation marks. Okay. Here's the same quotation. This is the same quotation that we had here. The same quotation, but now we have a different signal phrase and a different unpacking. Okay. Compassion is something that a person can develop over time. If you can learn to develop patience and tolerance towards your enemy, then everything else becomes much easier. Your compassion towards all others begins to flow naturally. Dalai Lama and Cutler, 178. It shows that mental abilities are techniques that can be learned and help one to gain understanding, should be by shifting perspective. I'm not going to change it because this is what Peggy Sue did. And okay, I'll just go ahead for this and then I'll save it later. But I want it to be the way the student has it. Okay. And again, this is text I like and why I like it. This is why we're doing the journal. We're gathering quotations and we're unpacking those quotations, right? Because writing is a process. We're doing the bits and the pieces. Okay, so let's start practicing here with our with signal phrases, adding signal phrases to our quotations, our text I like, and putting the why I like it or the unpacking together. Okay, let's start practicing. All right, guys. So I'm going to stop my share here and I'm going to stop recording.